As we talk this hour, we will look ahead to the game, which is live on talkSPORT Saturday lunchtime, Manchester City versus Liverpool. We're going to ask you if you think this is a title decider or these two will be the top two come the end of the season. You can get involved on that as well. 03717 223344. But I thought just before we dived into that one, we should probably talk about this rivalry and how it compares with some of the other great ones that we've seen. And we only thought there were a couple. They both involved Manchester United. It was the Sir Alex versus Arsene Wenger years in the early 2000s. And then Chelsea in Jose Mourinho's early years against Manchester United once again. I can't think of any other, particularly when it comes to winning that title, where you felt every season they were going head-to-head and back and forth. And look, it might not have even felt that way the whole way between Manchester City and Liverpool, but for some time, you know, barring a blip from both in probably one season in the last six, you felt it was between those two.
Yeah, but it was, for me, the Man City-Liverpool rivalry is the worst of the three. Now, in terms of quality, and I know you've listed a few things, in terms of quality, I think that's the best of the three. But rivalries, when you think of iconic moments, when you think of the memories, you look... I'm a Spurs supporter. I ain't got a dog in any of these fights. So, but when you're looking forward to these games, you're seeing Wenger and Ferguson going at it. You're seeing Mourinho, the special one, coming onto the scene and taking the mantle off of Sir Alex Ferguson. Those are what you want to watch as supporters. This one, when Liverpool won the league in 2020, I believe it was by 18 points. Now, City had given up towards the end. It was the COVID era as well, so City had kind of given up, and I think it was kind of like, well, we'll win it again next year. The amount of trophies you win as well, and you share that amount. Now, Liverpool are always going toe-to-toe with Man City, but it's always a shock. If it was a shock when Liverpool won the league, it would be a shock this year for me if Liverpool win the league. Last year if Liverpool won the league, it's become a common phrase in football parlance. If you finish above Man City, you win the league. Exactly. But when it was Manchester United Arsenal, when it was Manchester United Chelsea in particular, you never knew who out of those two was going to win the league. Now those two rivalries, Keane Vieira, Ferguson Wenger, the best out of that for me was United Arsenal from way back in the day. I think you'll have a different opinion to me, but I love those two rivalries, and today's one it's all too friendly. Well, that's it, isn't it? Maybe it's the nature. You're right. I listed down some of the factors that I wanted to talk about. Quality was probably top of my list. We spoke about managers, iconic moments, excitement. I'll explain that in more detail, and individual battles. So we'll go through some of those. But when we talk about Manchester United against Arsenal, it's kind of 1997 until 2004. You kind of highlighted something important there, which is sharing the titles back and forth. Manchester United won 5 Premier Leagues in that period. Arsenal won 3. And then Manchester United against Chelsea, a shorter period, 2005 to 2011. But Chelsea won 3 titles during that time. Manchester United won 4. And they haven't exchanged them, have they, Liverpool and Manchester City? But I don't think Liverpool should be penalised for... And listen, I know fans will be screaming at the radio about charges and money spent and this, that and the other and various ownership groups, and maybe it comes into the conversation with Chelsea as well. What Liverpool have been up against, what everyone's been up against when it comes to the titan of Manchester City. And I do think that kind of plays a part. I've said it so many times on the show. Probably for me, the greatest squad that we've seen over this short period of time, greatest team that we've seen in Premier League history is Manchester City in terms of the way that they've assembled quality in every single position year after year. And then they've added to that probably the greatest manager that we've seen. So I do think you have to put it in context. Without Liverpool, without what they've done over the last sort of 5 years, I mean, even though City have won as many titles as they've won, you might as well have handed it to them at the start of the campaign if it wasn't for Liverpool, as far as I'm concerned. That's no disrespect to the teams that have, at various points, gone toe-to-toe with Manchester City, namely, most importantly, I guess, Arsenal last season. But, for me, without Liverpool's quality, without the way that they've played consistently year after year, we wouldn't have had anywhere near as much to talk about when it comes to the Premier League title. Yep, I agree. In terms of quality, you're right. These two teams, Manchester City and Liverpool, I think, are better than the teams from back then. There was better seasons, individual seasons from way back with Manchester United and Arsenal and Chelsea. But if you think about the squad that Manchester United have, the young players coming through, we know the Beckham, Keane's, Giggs, Scholes, Gerrard, Gary Neville, Phil Neville, people coming through, Nicky Butt, players like that. Now, you would have said Manchester United could have gone on every single season and won, but Arsenal got it over the line. They had the invincible season. They got it over the line. Chelsea, Jose Mourinho, got it over the line. Liverpool, I know how good Manchester City are and the players that they can bring into the team. They can't get it over the line, except that one season, the COVID hit season, when, like I said, that it's not because Manchester City gave up that Liverpool won it, but towards the end, 18 points. No one does that anymore against Manchester City. These teams, Arsenal and Chelsea, they got it over the line
multiple times. Really. So I think that
Liverpool have done it once.
That does play a part.
That's where the rivalry comes into it. If they'd done it 2 or 3 more times, you'd say this is the best, because everything you've listed is probably on top of with Man City, Liverpool. But the rest of it, the iconic moments, the individual battles, it's the other two.
Let's talk about managers. Sir Alex versus Arsene Wenger.
Brilliant.
Sir Alex versus Jose Mourinho.
Brilliant.
Jurgen Klopp versus Pep Guardiola.
Friendly. They're too friendly. And look, there's nothing wrong with that. They respect each other. The other two, it was like they didn't respect. They wanted to be so much better than each other. They didn't respect what they achieved in the game, because you'd all, like, the special one come into it. He wanted to take the like I said, the mantle off of Sir Alex Ferguson. Whereas these two, they respect what each other does, and it's all too friendly. It's all too nice. You'll never see on the sidelines, and I'm not condoning any violence or anything like that, but you never see the rows like Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson used to have on the sideline, and Sir Alex Ferguson and Mourinho, Arsene Wenger and Jose Mourinho, Rafa Benitez on the sidelines. You won't see that with these two, because they have a lot of respect for each other. And they try and do the talking on the pitch.
They still spend the whole game screaming at each other in the fourth official. Maybe they just don't,
I know what you mean.
There's not as much needle between them personally, but they're still loud, vocal.
I don't get as excited for this game than I did when I was way back watching these two play. The Chelsea, Manchester United and Manchester United Arsenal. I used to get excited. One, I wanted Man U to beat Arsenal, being a Spurs supporter. 2, you knew something was going to kick off. There'd be red cards or something in the game. The managers would have a little spat on the sideline. You'd be waiting for that moment. Here, You're waiting for quality on the pitch. You're waiting for good goals, which is football. I know that, but that's not a rivalry for me.
Yeah, the iconic moments list. I mean, in terms of the other two, Chelsea, Manchester United, and then of course Manchester United Arsenal. Maybe Manchester United Arsenal tops the bill, full stop, in terms of Premier League history and iconic moments between them. But that Manchester City Liverpool rivalry doesn't feel like it's got as many. The one that stands out for me is the millimetres difference between one of them winning the title or the other, in terms of John Stones' clearance off the line. But you're right, in terms of, I mean, there are so many to list between Manchester United and Arsenal, and I think the most memorable is probably Arsene Wenger up in the stands, arms out wide after he'd been sent off. Yeah.
If you had a programme on the TV, 100 iconic Premier League moments, there wouldn't be many with these two teams in terms of battling with each other, in terms of Man City and Liverpool. You'd have the Aguero moment, you'd have the Vincent Kompany scoring that goal, but that wasn't against each other in terms of they weren't going toe-to-toe with the title. In these 6 years, 2018 to 2023, there wouldn't be many in there. There'd be loads with the other two in terms of the rivalries.
Yeah. I think one of the things in terms of the two rivalries and moments, Keane, Vieira, individual battles, one we all look forward to. Let's be honest. Even the iconic moments, it includes those two in terms of that moment in the tunnel at Highbury, tight, packed in. Gary Neville gets a little bit of needle from Patrick Vieira. You got Keane, face, furious, pointing at him.
And you knew
I thought
something
you were
was
a nice guy.
You knew something was going to kick off on the pitch. From the tunnel scenes, you see the referee looking, going, "Oh, here we go. Get your cards ready," because you knew something was going to happen. Can you find an individual battle between Liverpool and Man City, like direct? You can say, I know you're going to say Salah and Haaland in terms of goals.
It could be, but yeah,
but a direct opponent like Keane, Vieira.
Yeah. Haaland, I'd love to see like Haaland and Van Dijk maybe strike something up. You know, like, I don't know. They're just, again, it feels like, and I don't even blame these two teams, that the rules of football have changed.
Yeah, I agree.
You can't make a tackle now. So maybe there would have been much more needle between the managers.
Yeah.
Maybe there would be much more of an individual battle between the players if they were allowed to tackle each other, jostle each other, do, you know, the dark arts. They're just not allowed to anymore.
Yeah.
But and that's why I feel so... I feel like it's almost unfair to penalise them for not having some of those elements. It's like Formula One now. You know what I mean? It just hasn't got the gasoline to it that years gone by had. And so can you penalise the current crop for the change in the sport? That's where I stand on it. I do think that Guardiola, Klopp, their two sides deserve credit in terms of what they've produced over the last 5 years.
Loads of credit. You're right. Just not as much as the others.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.